teleport him away from...
Sorry, I can only search by topic for movies.
I didn't ask you to. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd. Thanks to fellow nerd Connect the Dots, who came up with this theory that I'd like to put forth. That most of this series of The Doctor has been a practice of walk away and do nothing. Especially in the historical episodes, basically they were there to watch history go by, not to really do much about it. While there were some small things that were done, there was not really an overarching menace like we have seen in previous Doctor Who shows. I have some ideas of why they may have decided that this series' Doctor should be more passive than previous Doctors in Doctor Who over the years, with the exception of William Hartnell, who played an older fellow. He was mostly in the background while he let his companions have most of the action. This Doctor is a young Doctor. She is rather active, and yet still she does not seem to be willing to intervene much. She was willing to let the spiders die of their own size rather than do anything about them in the Arachnids in the UK episode. She was willing to let brother kill brother in the Punjab episode. She was willing to walk away in the and be careful not to do anything to try to convince Rosa Parks, for instance, to go ahead and take the seat on the bus. They were there. They tried to get rid of the guy that was trying to change history, but as far as the history, they just watched it happen. And my theory on all of this is that maybe this is what Chibnall thinks this show is supposed to be. Maybe he's taken too seriously the idea that Doctor Who was originally a children's show, and he's trying to make it a children's show again by presenting more lecturesome story ideas, by becoming considerably less action-oriented, to become a lot more introspective and a lot less action-oriented. This seems to be part of the problem that we and a number of you have with this show. It's not that they're bad episodes. Some of them are, certainly they're not written as well. I would say that one of the things, despite the fact that Stephen Moffat has been branded with being a hack writer, he really did make some of the more memorable episodes in the previous series. And so the idea that we've gone from this puzzle to be solved or playing with the timey-wiminess of time travel, they've gotten away from this and they're just going back in history and saying, okay, this was the history and we'll stay out of the way as much as we can and then we'll get out of the way. And that's different, and it's something that does not remind us of recent series of Doctor Who. Now, the BBC has said in public things, and Chris Chibnall has said in statements before, that he wanted to do this in a different way. And the reason was that the ratings had been dropping on the show since its reboot. The Capaldi's time did not have the same numbers as Matt Smith's time, did not have the same numbers as when they first rebooted. And part of this is due possibly to the fact that a lot of the stories were kind of repetitive, and they wanted some kind of breath of fresh air. And by doing this, by picking a woman to be the Doctor, of having more companions, of having the companions more of an ensemble rather than just asking the Doctor what's going on, the Doctor has become less of the authority on everything and is just kind of watching along with everybody else. And I think this is all on purpose. I think this is, as one person put it, kind of a magic school bus version of Doctor Who, where we're aiming it right at children and we're aiming it right at education. And while Rosa was handled very well, while the Punjab episode was handled very well as far as keeping the history straight, and even things that I did not know about. I've learned a lot from from those of you who have contacted me and said, yes, there were brothers killing brothers in India during the division. I find these shows somewhat disturbing, but I think they're intended to be. I think they're intended to kind of push us to be a little more interested in researching it rather than just sitting back and enjoying it as an adventure. And it's become a very different kind of show as a result. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the falling numbers. It's continuing to go even today. I've been looking over these things, and I can't say why the numbers have fallen. It could be because people are not as happy with the direction that it's turned, and it has turned in a different direction. But it could also be a fact that we live in a different time. Not only 5 years ago, it wasn't as easy to have broadband. We're not able to stream video just a few years ago as easily as we can now. And so you're going to watch television or you're not going to see a show. And now there's so many people that can see the show by streaming and not doing it by traditional television that it has caused television numbers to drop all over the place. In American television, programs that would have been canceled for the numbers that they had would be a hit today because of the fact that television viewing in general is down. And so a show that's not doing as well as its counterpart of just a few years ago is still considered a hit. And I suspect that Doctor Who is still considered a hit, even though the numbers are down. I think the way that people view it just is different than it was before, and that can have a lot to do with it. So we're looking forward to the next Doctor Who. We'll have a new video on that very shortly after it comes out. So until then, please subscribe, and we're getting close to 800 subscribers now, so I'm very excited about moving up my subscriber thing, and so I would hope that you would subscribe if you've not done so already, and click the bell so you don't miss the next video that comes around. And thank you for all your comments. I'm reading them all with great interest. I appreciate the fact that everyone is being very civil with each other in this too, because sometimes on the internet we can get kind of rude, but I'm happy to say that everybody has been very nice, and it's been a very big pleasure to read what all of you have to say and to join in on some of these conversations. So please join us next time. Until then, don't go far.